Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. Yes, back. Yesterday, not a good day. But hey, what I had ready for you yesterday is going to be even better today. How about that? You know, the great thing about talking about starting pitchers in the upcoming draft is it just gave us one more day to see if there were any changes in the market, right? There you go. Go look at it that way. Thank you, Lenny from Long Island, for a great opening to the day. So let's just dig right in, chat room, and let's talk about my tier of starting pitchers today. Because of all the starting pitchers, I'm going to go through. I'm going to probably surprise you at who comes at number one on my list. So let's dig in. You ready? Number one on my list, in my top tier, is Jacob deGrom. Yes, Jacob deGrom of the New York Mets. And here you go. He's 31 years old. I want to look at last year's numbers. And, you know, I think deGrom is snake bit with the Mets. They just don't bring out the bats on game days when he pitches. Now, why that's true, I don't know. But look at last year. He pitched 204 innings. We don't chase wins in fantasy. Got it. But he only had 11 wins. Now, when it came to strikeouts, and I think the strikeouts are critical, he had, at home, he had 137, on the road 118. Now my math says that's 255 strikeouts for the year. He only walked 44, and his ERA was 2.42. Now, you're going to like my number two, but I picked deGrom at number one in my first tier. Number one, I think he's the best pitcher in the game. Second, he pitches in the National League, so he doesn't have to face the designated hitter. Now, if you're in an auction, I think, again, I'm not a good one to tell you what to pay for somebody in an auction because, number one, I don't know how much money's in the auction. I don't know what kind of team you're putting together. There's a lot of variables there. So I'm not going to get into 5x5 or auction leagues. I'm just going to rank these pitchers according to how I think they fall out. And deGrom is my number one. Now, number two, no shock here. Probably most of you, knowing I'm a Yankee fan from way back, thought I would pick 29-year-old, recently acquired Garrett Cole. But no, he's my number two pitcher, but he is and does fill out my top tier. So, let's talk about Cole with his 212 innings pitched, his 20 wins. He had over 300 strikeouts, 326 last year. Only walked 48, ERA of 2.5, whip of 0.895. I mean, 6 of one, half dozen of another in some ways. Cole will be pitching in the American League again, but he's used to that, pitching for the Astros. He'll be pitching in the American League East, where it's a dogfight. I don't care that Boston may say they're down. They're still Boston. They can hit. Toronto can hit. The Rays are going to work you to death. He's 29. That's my top two and my tier one. Complete. Done. So where do we draft these guys? They're, in my mind, only two elite pitchers. Now, I think we can agree that there are probably 4 or 5 or so elite bats. And we can talk about Acuna. We can talk about Trout. And we can talk about Yelich. We can talk about Bellinger. And I don't know if Mookie Betts is in there or not any longer. But I think we can say there are 4 or 5 hitters. I'm probably going to draft those hitters before I draft a pitcher. But that means I see Cole and deGrom going around picks 5 through 7, 5 through 8 in a draft. Because It's such a small quantity of tier ones. Now, tier twos. How many of these do you have, Arnie? I have quite a few. I have 10 of these in my tier two. And some of you might have my first pitcher in my tier two in your top tier, but not me, and I'll tell you why. Justin Verlander of the Houston Astros is not in my top tier. He's in my second tier. Last year, Cy Young, 21 wins, 223 innings, a 2.58 ERA. Struck out 300 batters on the money, 300. But he's 36 years old. And we saw what happened to another member of my second tier, who I'll just get into right now with him. That being Max Scherzer last year. Scherzer, who's 35. And I want to compare Verlander and Scherzer. Scherzer with 172 innings last year, 11 wins, 143 strikeouts, 33 walks, a 2.92 ERA, a 1.027 whip. Now, I'm putting those guys in the same breath, in the same sentence, because a lot of bullets have been fired out of those guns. And with Verlander being 36 and Scherzer being 35, and remember, Scherzer had a lot of injury problems last year. Now, are they great pitchers over the course of their career? No doubt about it. Truly great pitchers. But at some point, the human body wears down. And Verlander and Scherzer both have thrown so many innings, postseasons, over their careers. That's why they're in tier 2 and not in tier 1. That's why they're not, in my opinion, first round draft picks. Though if you got them in the second or third round, hey, pretty good, right? Just don't look for Verlander and Scherzer in 2020 to put up Cole and DeGrom numbers. And fantasy is still all about numbers. I look at Scherzer, the innings he has thrown, and I'm going to just go back over the last few years and give you the innings this arm has thrown, okay? In 2013, 214 innings. In 2014, 221 innings. In 2015, 228. 2016, 228. 2017, 200. 2018, 220. And last year, even though injured quite a bit, 172 innings. Tier 2s, Scherzer and Verlander. Another tier 2, Walker Buehler of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, the Dodgers, with the Mookie Betts trade finally over the weekend being finalized, offensively, the Dodgers are as good as they come. They're going to score a lot of runs. And Walker Buehler, the 25-year-old right-hander, is going to be a beneficiary of those runs being scored. Now, my concern with Buehler is how many innings do the Dodgers let him pitch. Last year, he threw 182, won 14 games, struck out 215. He had a 3.258 ERA. Now, at Chavez Ravine, his ERA was 2.85. Away from Chavez Ravine, 3.659. So, marketably better at home in Dodger Stadium than on the road. Innings pitched, even split, 91 both ways. Gave up 82 hits on the road, only 71 at home. Walks, though. He almost walked 3 times as many batters on the road as he did at home. 27 walks on the road, only 10 walks, 1 per 9 inning, pitching at home for the Dodgers last year. Clearly a tier 2, and he could be a tier 1 if I felt the Dodgers would give him the workload that a DeGrom or a Cole are going to get. He's not going to get that. He's not going to get that workload. They're going to give him days off every now and then. And so if you have Walker Buehler on your team, you're going to miss some starts. And depending on how the Dodgers fare within the division, if they were to be clinching it, let's say 2 weeks out, you're going to have a shutdown or a reduced innings Walker Buehler for your fantasy playoffs. And that's where it hurts you. I wish I was in a league where the season ended like Labor Day. If the fantasy season ended Labor Day, think about, you would get the maximum out of all of these pitchers. Now, they could get hurt, sure, then you wouldn't get anything. But if they're not injured through Labor Day, they're going to be giving it all they got. After Labor Day, I can see Buehler not getting the innings. I'm a little hesitant to draft him because I think he could give you an early lead, but come playoff time in fantasy, he may not be the bomb that you need to drop on your opponent. Well, who could be? Jack Flaherty, another Tier 2 member, the 24-year-old. Don't forget the second half he had last year. For the season, he threw 196 innings. He had a 2.75 ERA, but a sub-2 ERA after the All-Star break. He struck out 231 batters. His walks were up a little, 55. But this kid, Flaherty, at 24 years old, is the Cardinals' ace. There is no doubt about it. And he's going to pitch like that ace. And of all my Tier 2s, I believe most in Flaherty. Now, I know the Reds are better in the division, but the Pirates aren't. The Cubs aren't. The Brewers aren't. So he's going to get 57 games against, or the Cardinals will, almost a third of their schedule, or over a third of their schedule, against those teams. And when Flaherty pitches, you can just see him feasting at the table now. His FIP at home, 3.25. His WHIP at home, 0.791. That's right. His WHIP at home, 0.791 for the season last year, 0.968. And anything under 1, I'm in love with. Another Tier 2 coming up. Chat room, what do you think? Shane Bieber, the 24-year-old Cleveland Indian. Bust-out season in 2019, 214 innings, a 3.27 ERA. Struck out 259 batters. I like starting pitchers who strike out batters a lot. His WHIP at home at Cleveland, pretty good pitcher's park, 1.22, but on the road, 0.874 away from Cleveland. Much better on the road. 103 innings on the road, only 76 hits compared to an equal number of hits and innings pitched at home. He walked almost twice as many at home as he did on the road. So he is a road favorite pitcher. Wow. Don't see that as much. Pitching in a division where there's really only, in my opinion, one other good team, and that's the White Sox. I meant the Twins. The White Sox are a young team, good but young. The Minnesota Twins, veterans. He could struggle against either of those, but the Kansas City Royals, He's going to feast on the Royals. This kid can pitch. He's going to pitch well in his division. And he's got a teammate who I really like in my second tier, 29-year-old Mike Clevinger. Now, Clevinger, every one of these pitchers has some kind of, I don't know about, right? I like Flaherty really a lot. I told you that. But Clevinger had the back problem last year. But when he came back, oh, did he ever come back? And at Cleveland, pitching at home,